TE.
Good evening and welcome to the Get Established Show. We are here tonight on the panel. All the original guys. We got Chilla. We got D Jones. We got Shine. And this gentleman right here named Big. Let's get it started. Looking forward to having a great time with y'all tonight. Welcome to the Get Established Show.
All right.
What's up, D Jones?
What's going on?
You doing?
Good to see y'all, man.
All right.
See you, man.
Yeah. All right. We just wanted to bring in talk about a topic that's maybe a bit sensitive to most, especially if they're running in the religious circles. But the whole idea is not to slander or put down the church or the pastor. We're just here to talk about the issue of giving and tithing to the church. So I'm not gonna hold us up any further. I'm just gonna go ahead on and pass it off to my man Chilla and let him go ahead on and break down a few things.
Well, yeah, this topic happened probably close to a month now. We've been pushing this episode back. It's about a pastor named Keon Henderson. He had made some comments about about the poor and not to give to the poor. You need to basically give to the church and himself and stuff in that nature. And it kind of ruffled a couple of us on the podcast because even that day, everybody was sending the stream around of what he said, and people were jumping around in joy. And to me, I'm just saying my point of view, that was misinformed information. That wasn't accurate. That wasn't God. That wasn't, what the real interpretations of what he was saying. I looked at that as an individual who was hustling people and using God as his hustle to manipulate the minds of the people. And the thing is about tithing. And a lot of people now, because I have been in ministry, for those that don't know, I was an elder in the church for many years. I have studied the Bible a lot and read the Bible to get close to God, to understand who God was. And I learned the deeper I got into the word and the more I got into the word, I found myself mostly worshiping a man than I was worshiping God. And most people wouldn't understand that because they get caught in the mirage of this image of this person who's preaching and on a platform. And a lot of time, people don't even realize in their psyche, they are really worshiping that man as an essence of God. And it's not even that. The man is just a particular person. Anybody can pick up a Bible and read the Bible and learn God for themselves. A lot of people have people who are telling them certain things. And if you read that Bible, which I realize a whole lot of people do not read the word the way they're supposed to read the word to understand the word. They'll listen to somebody else's expectation of what the word means, and they'll run with it. When you got pastors telling you, God told me to tell the Congress to give me money to get a jet, or God tell me God to bless the pastor, you got to give him a Lamborghini or a Bentley. The pastor shouldn't be walking around here in rags. And it's nowhere in the scripture that you will read that Bible, that you will find that. And it's just that this is might be a sensitive episode for a lot of people. So, I mean, I was just saying, just have an open mind and just listen as all of us go into this. So you just have a open mind. And I tell everybody, read for yourself. Please read the book. Don't let somebody else tell you everything in that book. Learn that book for yourself, because you can find out there's a lot of stuff in that book is being preached over the pulpit that's not in that book. And Dirk, I'm gonna let you start it before I even go really deep into this.
I mean, throughout my life, just growing up, man, I grew up in a household where I was exposed to Christianity early on. No, I'm sorry, y'all. Early on. And the interesting thing about it is I had family members that were of other religions, like the Muslim religion, Buddhism. So I was exposed to a few different religions early on. And, just going to church and witnessing the pastor of my church work a job. He was a postman. And seeing him work a job, and I went to a modest church with a modest congregation. So the focus in the church that I attended as a youth wasn't on tithing. And then moving to Atlanta, um, where there are several mega churches, and visiting a few churches is here, just seeing how the whole sermon was really about prosperity and focusing on prosperity and tithing. It was just kind of confusing how I grew up one way, actually learning the word and going through the Bible and using the Bible as a tool to navigate through life, then coming to another area and going to a church and learning about prosperity and tithing at church. That was just the bulk of the sermon every week. I was a little confused. I didn't really understand, and then we went to another era where now they have ATMs in the church. So you go to church, there's an ATM there, so you can get money to tithe. And it just became a little confusing. To me, I think the focus was lost because the issue for me came when I saw people walking and riding the bus to get to church, and the pastor watched his community suffer in different areas, and there wasn't much help from the church to help these people better themselves financially. Like now, you find a lot of churches doing financial classes, or now you find a few churches that help with people lose their jobs. And but back then, when these mega churches were springing up everywhere, there wasn't a whole lot of support for the congregation. I've even, and I'm not going to say any names, I've even been to a church where they requested to see your W 2. And, I think at some point, when you start dabbling into situations like that, it's going a little too far. Because my thing is, the church, to me, my opinion, the church in the community should be a place where people can go and they can feel at home and not be put in a situation where they feel like they're forced to give the church a certain amount of money, because most of these mega churches, believe it or not, in Atlanta are in low income areas. So how are you able to supply the amount of money that these pastors are asking for? Like Chris said, there have been pastors that said, okay, well, I have multiple churches. I need a jet to make sure I can fly from one church to another because this church is in another state. Or you have here in Atlanta also where pastors have multiple churches within the city. And because of traffic, they're asking for things like a helicopter to travel from one church to another to make sure that they're able to get there in time. I mean, you're asking your congregation to provide these things for you. And when you're in a low income area, how can your congregation afford to provide these things for you when they're struggling just to make it? But you have these households that will give their last. And then they put themselves in a predicament and they come back and ask the church, and the church is asking you to fill up all this paperwork and jump through hoops just to get assistance. So that's where I'm confused, and I feel like people are misled.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we should, kind of have a look at what we're, what we're the topic of what we're discussing. Maybe we could go to the video and show them what we're the example of what we're talking about, so we can go in depth into while we brought this up.
Cool.
Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something, the poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself. So when you give $1 to somebody on the street talking about I did my job, God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Read your Bible. Charity does not bring wealth. Only the tithe does that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna preach on it.
All right. Okay. I guess one of my issues with that teaching is the fact that alluding back to what D was talking about in regards to prosperity preaching. I mean, if you really look at the word as a whole, it doesn't teach about if you give, you can get rich. If you give, you're gonna have abundance. God blesses you. It says that He blesses you in the word. It says in where He you're being blessed by Him in everything He has for you in the world. Now I can talk about Jesus and His teachings, and He explains what it is about giving and giving to the poor. So I'm not gonna go in that, but I will say that I'm going to highlight some things in regards to, we will highlight some things in regards to tithing and just about giving to the poor. And one of the things that we know that regardless of what you will be blessed if you give, regardless of who it is.
Well, I'm gonna say straight up now, this is like, it's not God, this is man. And a lot of times we get caught up in the man, and a lot of times we worship in the man. And if you think about, if people really study the Bible and understand everything, when most people will use, a man raw God, and they'll use Malachi. And see, if they really read the whole story and read the whole Bible, they'll understand that ain't none of the people who gave Malachi and whatever, in the king in that time, the money, they did gave from what they did. They went and conquered another whole area, and they had took all the spoils. And since the king gave them the information to go do that, they were like, yo, we got so much stuff here. We need to get the king some blahs off. So everybody said, you know what, man, I got all this here. I'm going to give him 10%. And all the soldiers gave him 10%, basically. And what people don't understand, these soldiers didn't give up their own livestock. These soldiers didn't give up their own crops. These soldiers didn't give up all the stuff. They went into another place and took the spoils and gave 10% to the king, because he was like, yo, we need to do this, we need to do that. And what people's not even understanding is that when you do these things, tithing is really just vegetables and fruit and stuff in that nature. We get caught up because everybody want the money, the money. I'm gonna ask a question, and I'm not being funny. I'm being very serious. All these years, we've been collecting the money for God. The question is, when is God coming down here to get his money? I mean, if God really needed us to help with the kingdom building, wouldn't he made us first so we can build the earth and the heavens and stars and all this? When is we going to take a shuttle up to the kingdom and start helping with the pearly gates and everything up there? Jesus already told you as many mansions. So what you think you're doing down here, but other than collecting the ducats and using them for yourself? We can say, yeah, we need to pay for the lights. Oh, we need to pay for the electric. We need to pay for the place. But some people don't even know these people get grant every money. They don't have to pay taxes and all this stuff. They're exempt for a lot of different stuff. And some of them get so much money, it's ridiculous. And all you're doing is seeing them living a rock star life or a lavish life. They are making so much money, it's ridiculous. And then you got pastors out here that's, fleecing. I mean, what you need a Bentley for? Do you know it's pastors out here and every other Sunday or some Sundays making over $100,000 in their church, or maybe close to $500,000? I mean, I don't even want to call these pastors out. I mean, but you got pastors that now coming out and stuff is coming out exposing these pastors, and people been worshiping these pastors and never supposed to worship a pastor. A pastor's supposed to be a shepherd. He's supposed to help the people. Y'all don't supposed to take care of the pastor. The pastor's supposed to take care of you. If you go and read the Bible like you're supposed to read it, these pastors don't supposed to have no Stacey Adams on. When I read and look at a pastor today, I see Pharisees and I see scribes. Jesus didn't walk around like that. Jesus walked around with regular clothes, with regular people. He didn't have people on these fancy horses and all these mansions. He walked out there with the people in the streets. The bums, the prostitutes, the people on drugs, the people that was alcoholic. He was out there with them people. These pastors are scared to go out there and preach to the gospel. They want you to come in their church. And the problem with it we got right here is a lot of them using this money. What is they using the money? Will they pass out a blanket? Will they give a hot meal? Why don't you put them in a hotel? Why don't you why don't you take your church money and buy a hotel, refurnish it, and help people sleep there, help them to get back in society, put classes together to get them off the street, to help them do something real. Stop just saying you're doing a little bit of stuff. People are fleecing the people right now, and people don't even know what's going on. And I ain't trying to offend nobody. I know people love their pastor, and I'm not pastor bashing, because I know it is some good pastors out there. It's some pastors is willing from their heart is doing right, but there's a lot of wrong pastors out there, and a lot of wrong pastors preaching the wrong things, and there's a lot of wrong people doing the wrong things. And my thing is, don't use these people. It ain't about money. It tells you the lust of money is the root of all evil. And a lot of people are lust of money. And you think you get a blessing from God for just giving up a token of money? Jesus said, render to Caesar what is Caesar's. You and God, man.
Okay.
We so busy worrying about the money. Start worrying about the people. Instead of somebody, we need to get the money to get a jet. When we say we need to go out here to the homeless this week, and we're going to try to clean up the streets and put these people in the hotels, and we're going to try to help these people get back on their feet and try to get these people working again, to get these people back in society. What are you really doing? But sitting on a throne and jumping every week and giving a sermon, but the people that need to hear it ain't hearing it. There's people out here in gangs. There's people out here on drugs. There's people out here that really need to hear these things. There's people out here that feel like they ain't loved. But you want to stay in a church when you're supposed to be in the highways and the byways? I ain't up here to preach, and I ain't up here to bash, and I ain't up here to tear down. I just want people to think and read the word, because there's a lot I could talk about. And I don't want to just halt this scene up right now, because I want all my brothers up here to share their input too. But I mean, it's things that I want people to realize it's not God. It's not God. And it's a hustle. And I'm tired of people using the word and using God as a hustle. God is free. God ain't a fee. God is not a fee. God is free. Stop letting them charge you a fee. You need to sow into the ministry. I ain't seen Adam and Eve sow in the ministry. I ain't seen Moses sow in the ministry. I ain't seen none of that. What is you reading and where it's coming from? People are twisting up the word. But let somebody else share.
Let me say this right quick before you jump in there, D. I want to highlight what Chris said when he said, "Render unto Caesar what Caesar's." I'm just gonna expound on that a little bit. Run under Caesar what is Caesar's. Run under what is God's. You know, if we talk about material possessions as far as Caesar, we talk about the money. We talk about whatever is created by man. That's his. Whatever the government, whatever they create, that's theirs. You know what I'm saying? So when we get taxed and all that stuff like that, that's about them wanting their money for, you know, what they said that they giving us. So, you know, you give that money to them. As far as what God, if you a believer and you believe in God, you know what God wants from you. So, I mean, we all know. So, with that said, I just wanted to make sure that's clear so that nobody would be, you know, under the impression that we're not giving y'all at least enough to chew off. Go ahead, D.
No, that's cool. I just wanted to ask Chris a question. So, based off of what you're sharing, and I already know how you feel. This is for the audience, pretty much. You're basically saying some of these churches are pretty much hurting the community. Because it sounds like it's almost like brainwashing going on in some of these pulpits, based off of the information that you're sharing. I do know what I said earlier. I've seen a lot of misrepresentation in the church, and based off of what you're saying, they're damaging the community more than they're helping the community.
It's some genuine I have met that really believe in what they're doing and trying to help the people, but it's a lot that, because I mean, you just like you say, it's a liquor store on every corner, it's a church on every corner, and when you go in these corners on these churches, especially in the urban neighborhoods or the black neighborhoods, how many of these churches are joining together? Because y'all all preaching the same book, y'all all, and then this pastor say, "Don't go to that church; they ain't preaching what I'm preaching." But why is y'all worshiping the same God? You mean y'all got different gods? And Dion, I want to get what he just posted with Dion about the storehouse. But there's so many churches on these corners, and you could just look at your community. And if God is really in them churches, shouldn't the community be looking real good? But you see these pastors got these churches, and they're not they're not fixing up or cleaning up the community. It's a lot of work that need to be done, and they say they're doing God's work, but singing and putting on shows and everybody dancing and prancing in there, and they coming in and you're laying hands on them and praying, and they going out, coming in one way and going out the same way they came in. They just the tickle of the flesh. They felt good because they heard a good sermon, and then you pass the plate and they giving up the money, and then they walk out the church, and then they still go right back to the same problems they had when they went in. I mean, I don't even see churches telling people to repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. They so busy worrying about money and planting seeds and giving tithes and giving offering. And I know when two or three come together right here, just us sitting on a platform is church. Any man is coming to front to bring enlightenment to the people, speaking from his heart. This is church right here. Church ain't nothing but fellowship. When that people say we the church, that means the fellas, the people come together. It's not the building, because ain't no building going up into the kingdom. Ain't no rock or mortar going into the kingdom. Even the word God said in the word, I'm not going to dwell in brick and mortar built by man. I'm going to dwell in you. Built by hands. He's not going to dwell in that. He's going to dwell in us. And the problem is people go there looking for God, but sometimes you got to see the spirit within. God is our heart. He judges every person's heart. He knows our goodwill. He knows our deeds. And when I say, when is the church going to give God his money? Because we've been collecting this money for a long time.
Well, I want to revisit something that you said earlier. I think people don't realize a lot of the real work that needs to be done is outside of the building. There are people out here that are homeless, people out here that are dealing with substance abuse, people out here that are dealing with physical abuse. You have kids that are homeless. The real work, a lot of it has to be done outside of that building. You can't stand behind those walls and talk a good game and not be about that game. Sometimes we got to step outside of our comfort zone and move into where the problem exists to help fix the problem?
I think one of the greatest issues that that we deal with between the people outside and the church is the fact that when you say come as you are, but it's with it's with prerequisites to it. You can't come in drunk. You can't come in, with a belligerent attitude. You can't come in dressed a certain way. And I think this is one of the fallacies of the church, because, we want those very people to come into church so that they can be helped or given a word to give them some kind of encouragement to push past whatever issues they got, because we know that those issues are what's keeping them from the church in the first place. So if that could be eliminated, because I think, like I said, I don't want to go this route, but I'm trying to steer it away from this, but this is one of the things I'm saying. It's just the main thing is that if the church would just allow people to come in. I mean, we all know that that when we're dealing with a belief system, especially in the Black community, the Christian church is one of the premier religions that people go to, so that they want some kind of help or some kind of direction that they can go. Because I mean, we as Black people, there's a lot, even going back in times of slavery, segregation, the church was the anchor to our community. So we rest upon that establishment, that establishment to be there for us in time of need. So
what happened, Raymond? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but what happened?
Hey, D, let me break in for a sec, because I didn't put this up in the middle. It's halfway through the show. I'm gonna put it in the middle, and then I'll put it at the end as well.
Yeah.
This is a warning. Please note, the show that you are watching is in no way criticizing, slandering, condemning, discriminating, ostracizing, disapproving, demoralizing, rejecting, dejecting, or demonizing the Christian religion, the organized church as a whole, or those that truly and sincerely believe in God and or Jesus Christ. This is about those that lead the Christian church astray from God and seek to gain profit and fame through the believers.
Right.
Go ahead, D.
Yes.
Thank you, Big.
Oh no, I was saying, well, why isn't that happening, Raymond? I mean, you do hear that, come as you are, but as soon as that happens, whether you come in, like you said, whether somebody intoxicated comes to church, whether somebody comes in and they don't have what others deem appropriate attire, why is that? Like, why is that a situation?
I think it's well. I'll get a light version, and I know Chris gonna give the harder version. I just know that people, if you deal with certain types of individuals, you kind of like, all right, maybe this is my safe haven away from that, and I don't want to feel like that's coming in my safe haven, which in one sense is wrong, because you can't turn somebody away because you feel like this is your place, or this is how you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, we aren't the same. If we was the same like the same mind, then we would all be doing the same thing, and we all would be ready to freaking go off the hill like lemons, because they're going doing the same thing. but we different. We all different. We think different. We do different. We act different. So that anything that comes along, you got to at least understand it and then try to figure out how you can work together.
All right. I'm gonna interrupt. I got Rose popped in for a question or comment. So I'm gonna add him to the stage.
All right.
All right.
What's good, family?
What's going on, Big Bro?
What it is.
Man. Hey, necessary topic, man. Necessary topic, yo. But you know, one thing I think y'all need to do is put it in perspective, though. Put it in its proper place. If you want to talk about tithing and things of that nature, especially the tithing portion. Because you know, like Chilla said, it's a lot of churches out here, you know, doing the work. Tithing is like an investment. You find a particular community of worship that you feel a part of, that you want to be a part of, then you're going to invest in that branch of worship if they're doing the work. If they're a reflection of what you believe in, along, you know, what you're studying, what you're trying to be, who you're trying to be as far as following Christ. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Then you're gonna plant the seed, and you're gonna be one of the ones that harvest it. You know, that's an important part. You know, you got, you know, a lot of pastors out here pimping the word. They're using the word to to blow, or, you know, be whatever. And the Bible said it's gonna be these times, and he's starting to expose a lot of these false prophets. You know, and you know, with the come as you are, only time I really seen people removed or not welcome is if they were causing a disruption or a distraction. It's one way to come as you are when you're seeking the Lord, when you're seeking help, when you're seeking salvation. And then it's another thing to come and be disruptive. It's all about who, you know, what the Spirit tells you. If you're in tune with the Spirit and the Spirit is disrupted, and, you know, you've been led, like, this is not a like-minded individual. This individual is not seeking the Lord. This individual is seeking to interrupt, then it has to be removed, you know. But Chilla, everything you said was on point. A lot of y'all are on point, you know. And I mean, I understand that you're generalizing, but, you know, in it, you know, try to put it in some proper perspective, so people who haven't been to church or haven't chose to follow Christ or on the fence, they understand that everybody's not like that. You know, encourage them to, you know, like the word says, study to show thyself approved. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, man, y'all on one tonight, man. I was trying to sit out because I don't want to be like, man, Ro trying to come up here every week. But, you know, it was just sitting here, it was bubbling, and then Chilla started preaching, and I was like, let's go. You know what I mean? But, you know, yeah, man, you know, keep, you know, make sure you put some perspective with it, man, so they get a clear understanding of what it is, you know, so people won't be turned away, because the word is there. And, you know, only one thing I disagree with you, Chilla, and then I'm gonna be out. Salvation ain't free. You're gonna have to give up something. Everything about the Spirit don't have a dollar sign attached to it, especially when it comes to prosperity. You know, prosperity is about being in proper place and in proper balance and in proper worship and connection with the Spirit. That's about being prosperity. The prosperity is when our soul leaves the body to go be present with the Lord. So, like you said, like you was on point when you said it's not about the 10% of the dollar. It's a 10% of everything: your time, your effort, your study, your prayer, all of that.
I'm getting ready to get in
all
there,
of that is
because
what
I
it
ain't
is.
saying, man. It's
You know, yeah, no doubt. I know you know.
I mean, you part of the crew anyway. But tithing, like you
Yeah.
said, if I can make mittens, I can give them out to the homeless. If I can make dinners, I can give it out to the people. That's tithing. It's never about the greenback. But see, like somebody like me that looks like us, He wants that green back. God wants your heart and your spirit. He wants you to do the good will of working for him. We ain't nothing but vessels. And that's we even gave up our, sacrificing ourselves to be vessels, to be helpers of one another. When you get into the ministry, most of these people are teaching wrong. And I just, because everybody is so much I want to break down, but I know we ain't got enough time to break everything down. Because when I was little, churches ain't even the same when we was little. When I was young, it was more discipline and more everything, and people dress a certain way. The breasts won't hanging out. They won't wearing high skirts. I mean, they came to respect because this is the house of the Lord. Even the way they carried themselves, the way they talked, the way the people, the pastors even mentored them. They stood behind the kids and had them singing and doing all types of things. They even came to the houses of the people all the time and visited them, checking on them. They came to my house plenty of time on Sundays and different stuff. This stuff doesn't go on today. I mean, you can't even shake a pastor's hand without security around you. It's like they more like, it's not even the same no more. The whole, some of the ministries, and I'm not talking about, like you said, all churches. I'm talking about some churches. Some people are, like I said, the storehouse. Dion said a very important thing. The storehouse. A lot of people, the church is a storehouse. This is where we come together and put things for people in need. The storehouse is always supposed to be for people in need. Today, how many storehouses are being used for people in need at this very moment? Some churches asking you for your W-2 form, just like my brother said. You can't be part of their ministry unless you give them their W-2. But you need to know how much I make. I mean, me and God already know that. Well, who are you to want to know my W-2 form? Why I got to just to be in your flock? Is that a coat or is that a church? I mean, it's questions like this. And I'm not discouraging nobody and I'm not beating up. I want people, because church is a place, if you are beaten down and you need to hear a word, you go there to get inspiration, to get uplifted, and to feel good, and to hear a good word, a sermon that can bring you closer to God. Now, being that, what you got somebody says?
Let me go back to the clip, because we know we got people coming in and going out,
Go ahead. No problem.
Clip to see what we're actually talking about this evening.
I'm out though, fam.
All right.
Thanks, big man.
One love.
Yes, indeed. Love you, man.
All right.
I'll just play it.
Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something. The poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself. So when you give $1 to somebody on the street talking about I did my job, God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Read your Bible. Charity does not bring wealth. Only the tithe does that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna preach on it.
All right. Just seeing that again. Oh boy. He said a lot in there.
It's so many things that go against.
Look, one of y'all, can y'all post Deuteronomy 15:7-8? We had just crop that so people can read that in the comment, because it tells about the poor and we shouldn't have a heart.
Go to the private chat and make sure that's the one you want. If not, put the one you want in the private chat and I'll throw it.
I think Raymond put it in there.
The one that I said, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but it wasn't, because I read it. It wasn't. So that's why I'm asking y'all. It's in the private chat. You go in there and read. While y'all doing that, I'm gonna say something because I ain't talked all show.
Go for it.
So I don't think there's a huge disparity between you giving of your heart and gaining wealth. They don't have nothing to do with one another. If someone is down, that's the whole point of church, is to provide for people that cannot provide for themselves. That be it spiritually, that be it financially, that will be it from the standpoint of feeding, because Jesus laid all this out. He set examples of all of this. You know, just like with the loaves and the fishes, he fed the multitude. So to say you don't know the impact of what can happen to somebody that's, because what he's saying, I understand, I get what he's saying, but it's just more, he sensationalized it. Because when somebody is hungry and you know they legitimately hungry, and the reason they can't eat because they don't have no money, and you got enough, you have more than enough, and you know legitimately, this ain't a person that's going, they're going to take your money and go buy liquor, or they're going to take your money and go buy some drugs. This somebody that's going to take your money and go buy some food to eat, or go get a room for, you know, they got these hotels you can do about an hour, you know, that's for a whole nother reason, and you know, but they might need to just sleep in the dry, warm, or cool place for a couple hours where they can feel safe. I got a huge problem when we talking about our spirits. Wealth and our spirits don't have nothing to do with one another. They can have something to do with one another, but they are separate in their own entity. They can work together, but they all can work apart. Because your spirit sometimes will chase things they don't need to chase. But if we're in this world together, we're in one big bubble. This whole world, we're inside this thing together. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I'm like, you know what? And I really believe this. I don't know if our generation, Gen X, I don't know if we're going to die a natural death. This may be the time of the rapture. The things of the last days are being shown now. You got women that don't even know what decency means by how they dress. Everyone dressing like whores. You got people that's using language that, I mean, that's just their regular language. Foul mouth, calling people out of their name on a regular basis all the time. You got parts of the world right now that's on fire, right now burning. You got these floods and typhoons and mudslides, all these things going on. But you know what? We don't even know what immoral means no more. Because at one point on this planet, on this path here, alcohol was immoral. Now, oh, your doctor tell you, go ahead and have a drink. It's okay. Smoking was immoral. But when the government realized they could make money off of it, they decided, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to let alcohol go. We got marijuana now being decriminalized. The only thing that's good for is to make people lazy. There's a whole other thing we got to do. We have to, if the way that I see it, I set aside. Matter of fact, I'm gonna talk about this with Chris Chillo. When COVID was going absolutely rampant, him and myself helped, I can't even tell you how many people get well. I was shipping things all over the country. And you know what? I didn't ask nobody to pay nothing. Mm. He helped me at a very low price, and I shipped and gave and drove and did everything for the people that I knew was sick. You know why? Because I didn't want nobody to die because of what was planted here. And it was proven that everyone that we were able to help together, everyone survived and doing fine now. But that came from a spirit of me not just worrying about myself, him not just worrying about himself. We in this thing together. We are supposed to be helping one another. Now you got people that will abuse and manipulate, but you know what? It always shows itself. It always shows itself. And it's easy to just let somebody go. They can go hang themselves. But don't let it be because you were like, man, he might take my money and do this. If it's in your heart to give, if God tell you to give, give. And it ain't always got to go to the church. Sometimes it's somebody on the street.
Yeah, that's there you go. Let me say this. Yeah, you're right. If it's in the heart to give, you give. I mean, it should never be out of coercion or someone guilting you, shaming you, making you feel uncomfortable because everybody else may do it, and you may not be able to, or you don't seem like you're able to do it. It always should be from a heart that wants to give, that's willing to give. That should always be the main thing, never of any other way means.
And you know what, Sean? With that being said, it is wealth in that. It's wealth in the spirit. It's wealth in the spirit. Because when you do that, when you give to somebody, if you're a cheerful giver and if you're giving up your heart, it does something good to you. And you know what? It comes back around. I don't care what that man said up there on that pulpit, feeling like he God. It's not true. Everything we do comes back. Everything. Good and bad.
I'm going to say this with Big and Raymond. Y'all said some of the biggest things, and the biggest things y'all said to me is love. When you show love, because that's what you had, Big. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about this. It wasn't about I can do this. It was about I got love in my heart, and I want to see people, be healthy and this and that. And I think if everybody had that love in their heart, and I always talk about love because I see so much hate. When you shouldn't love the money, you should love the people. And when you love the people, you'll do your best to take care of the people. I got a zeal in my heart for the people. I mean, us being on this show, coming together is love for the people because we want to see the people and help the people. And this is the thing we try to communicate through our platform. It's so much we could talk about because I haven't even gotten into the storehouse and even in Acts. The storehouse, if you read Acts and you read about a storehouse, it was put together basically so everybody that had something, they basically sold it and divided it, the money equally. So no one would be doing lack. No one would be without. And that's what basically the storehouse is. And the storehouse is what we put up for the witherless, the fathers, meaning the kids that their parents died, or the wife and the loss of a husband, or the sick and suffering, the ones that can't afford and doing this. The church supposed to be for them, man. The money's supposed to be for them, man. The money's supposed to be helping them, man. The money don't supposed to be for a pastor and his nice car and house and jet and plane and Bentley and all this. That's foolishness. That's not God. And if you think that's God, you're in the wrong house. God is within. It's the love, the heart. And we get confused. So it's like when you hear Big saying what he did that out of love, man. That's God in him. And you got these people that's constantly talking about, we need to give God all. If you're 100 for over what you done had to pay your rent, you got enough money to pay your rent for the 5 next year. Why you still collecting money and people still suffering, man? If your rent ain't number $2,000 a month and you got over $100,000 every Sunday, what you need extra money for, man? Is you really cleaning up the neighborhood and helping the people, or you fleecing your people and taking and putting it in your pocket? People need to wake up. This thing is serious, man. I mean, you thinking about, you go to hear a good word, but that word don't let it be an inspiration to rob you, man. Know their intents. If they got good hearts and intent, you will see their good words. Because I can talk. There's a lot of people out here can talk about real good, talk better than Satan to me, man. Their mouth is so nasty. That's how they get money all day, just talking to people. They talk so good, you'll give them everything, sign your soul over to them. And it ain't about that. It's about love, man. How we can help one another. And for that man to get out there and tell the preachers talking about, man, don't give to the poor. You need to do this. No. What? If I got something and I got a lot, why I'm going to let everybody around me suffer? Why wouldn't I want to help the people? If our God and gave me plenty, wouldn't he want me to help the people that don't got nothing? And this is sick for us to even think that it's cool that you see a person starving, a woman that can't feed her child is crying, and you walk past and want to get to a preacher with $100,000 or $500,000 suit or something on it, gators and all that, and this child over here starving? You got to ask what type heart you got. Is you going to the house of Satan or you going to the house of God? Jesus already said, y'all done turn my father's house into a den full of thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Read that 100 times. You might get your own interpretation of it, but I know what it means.
Let me say this. When in Acts, let's go back to Acts. When after Paul's first missionary journey, and he got called to Jerusalem by Peter. Peter was telling him that the church was being, and that mean the believers in Christ were being pressed by the Pharisees and scribes. So they needed, they needed some money. So Paul, when he went on his second missionary journey, he went and collected an offering from all the churches that he visited, and that he helped build, and just asked them for an offering, and they gave him. So when he went back, they were able to have something, to sustain them while they were going through what they were going through in Jerusalem. So saying that to say that he asked for an offering, and there was an offering that was given. So it wasn't a requirement. It was an offering. So let's just remember that when you offer something, you give it freely. You know what I mean? You receive it freely, willingly.
And also, I'm gonna share one thing because I'm gonna have to take it back into the Old Testament. A lot of people don't understand the tithing and the sacrifices that the tribes did, and they don't understand. Some might don't. That the tribes was promised the land of milk and honey, and the Levites wasn't. So they was ordained to be priests.
Spiritual side.
Yeah, the spiritual side. And they guarded the tabernacle and everything and blah, blah. To even get more into it, they was given 10% of some of the offerings from the other tribes. This was their way of survival. They didn't have no other way because they stayed as priests guarding the tabernacle, and they didn't go out and wander like the other ones who was promised the land of milk and honey. So the tithes of the offering that they did upon to God, the Levites
sacrifice it. They would
sacrifices and stuff.
The Levites burn it at the altar.
The Levites got 10% of some of the stuff from the grain, some of the meats and all this stuff, so they could survive. Now I don't see no church or no pastor need all that. And that's when Levites, it wasn't one Levite, it was Levites, it was a whole tribe of them, all of them working together, getting this money. Not money, but getting the stuff they need to eat, to live. Not one building that's supposed to be the storehouse that's for the fatherless, the motherless, and the people that's the have-nots. They can't get stuff. They're supposed to come in that storehouse and get shelter, to get clothing, to get food, to be well taken care of. And I'm not knocking nobody. Everybody can study for themselves. I'm not trying to tell you right or wrong. And like Raymond and everybody saying, even Big Ro came up here and said what he had to say. Everybody got great violent points. What I'm saying right here is that you need to know from your heart what is right. If you can't pay your bills, or if you can't pay for your medicine, if you can't pay for your house, and you feel like somebody's telling you to plant a seed, you need to really lay down and have a one-on-one with God, and don't just listen to man. You need to know in your heart what is right. Don't let somebody trick you. If that's what your faith tell you to do, then do it. But mine's a little different. I got common sense. I would help somebody else more than I would do that. And I ain't knocking nobody, they're laughing. I'm not knocking nobody on that note, but I'm just saying, some people is when they say where you plant your seed, make sure it's on good ground. on good soil.
Okay, that's good. That's
all
good.
soil is not good soil. So when I'm saying this, I want you to understand what I'm saying. All churches are not good soil. It's some good church. Ro didn't hear me say this, and he came up here. It's some churches that are good, but know the soil that you are planting your seed on. Exactly. If it's a good soil, you're going to see the fruits and the labor it produces. And I mean, it's going to go out and great things around that place going to happen in the neighborhood. Everything going to flourish with that seed that you planted. You're going to see that, dang, this was bumming. Like, look at the people, look at the tree, look at the fruit, look at the neighbor, look at everything going to change because God's in the midst of that. Everything going to flourish because you put it on good soil. But if you put it on soil and ain't nothing changing around the area, question.
Yeah, let me. I'm just gonna say this right quick. Yeah, if you give where you're getting fed. You give where you feel like you're getting what you're getting out of that church. If that church is giving you something that is feeding you, nourishing you, not only in body and spirit, but in whatever you may need or whatever is helping you, then yes, you give of your heart freely, but only give if you can. Don't give based off of how off of what somebody else said. Like I said, give from your heart.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is love. If we live our life and we love and we're a representation of love, then we're following the right step. I just want y'all to realize we're not condemning the church. I'm going to revisit that. We're not condemning the church. We're just saying be careful in what you follow, because sometimes you can be led down the wrong path. If you just make sure that you follow love, you can never lose. And with that being said, you know what it is. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Get established.
As we close out, I just want to give you this warning note. The show that you just watched is in no way criticizing, slandering, condemning, discriminating, ostracizing, disapproving, demoralizing, rejecting, dejecting, demonizing the Christian religion, the organized church as a whole, or those that truly and sincerely believe in God and or Jesus Christ. This is about those that lead the Christian church astray from God and seek to gain profit and fame through believers. This has been your favorite Get Established show. We appreciate y'all for checking in with us and being with us. We hope you were enlightened by our conversation tonight. Hope you guys will take it with you and continue it. That being said, for myself, Big, Shine, Chilla, and D Jones, this has been Get Established show. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday. Peace.